Hey, what's up? It's Frank here from Data Driven, the podcast where we explore the emerging fields of data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So, a couple things. One, I hope you're doing okay during the middle of this COVID crisis. I hope you and yours are staying healthy and safe. I myself am in my backyard, and as I go outside, my allergies remind me that it's spring. But also the birds are chirping. It's a wonderful day here, weather-wise. Um, uh, Keeping up your mental health is definitely important during a crisis like this. This all takes me back to the months after 9/11, even arguably a couple of years after 9/11, when things went from normal life to everything could be a potential threat, right? Touch those boxes that came in the mail, or all of those things can really be trouble. So this is a bit of a different. Yeah, I have to edit that part out. So Andy and I had recorded something, but due to some technical glitches we had last week, only part of it was recorded. So basically, I'm going to append it to this when this goes in the podcast feed. But here's kind of the cliff notes. I had this idea of creating a virtual summit that will be free. You'll actually hear me work that through. You'll hear me work that through on the message on the actual recorded podcast. Basically, we're going to do a free virtual summit. I'm calling it Lemons to Lemonade. This literally was an idea that I just had basically the night before we did the recording. Or the morning before, I had this idea of doing a summit that would help people who have been laid off. Primarily, I originally intended towards technologists, but let's see how things grow. I set it up in our system as a evergreen summit, which means it doesn't really have a start or an end date. Still working my way to figure out exactly what that means with the software. If you go there now, lemons2learning.com, the number 2. Basically, you can go there. You can sign up for. I don't have any sessions listed yet. I'm still working on coming up with a call for speakers. But here's the thing. One, if you are interested in speaking, that's great. We'd love to have you. We're going to do a thank you, Andy, for typing that in. Basically, here's the plan. We are going to have a virtual summit that will. The first target audience for speakers is. People have been laid off, technologists have been laid off. So it's not just going to be a data science thing. That's why it's not under the Data Soup kind of banner. This is really to help people who have been laid off get their name out there, get practice public speaking. We're going to do these sessions pre-recorded, so there's not going to be any kind of live glitches or whatever. All you have to do is do a recording of yourself, post the video to YouTube, and kind of send us the particulars. And I'm still working on getting that out. But if you go sign up to lemons2learning.com right now, I will send out another email saying, hey, if you want to speak, go to this link, that sort of thing. Also, hit me up on LinkedIn or frank.lavinia@gmail.com.
I'm just spending money left and right here.
Huh. Yeah, I had my desk all disassembled because I was moving stuff around because I have an idea about shooting more videos like in front of the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Which is proven to be very popular with on LinkedIn Live. So, and I suspect for work-related stuff, it's probably going to be important too.
That's outstanding.
All right, so we will officially start the show. Maybe I'll include this as a pre-roll.
Fine with me. It's easier to edit that way, right?
Exactly. Hello and welcome to Data Driven, the podcast where we explore the emerging fields of data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. If you'd like to think of data as the new oil, then you can consider us, like car talk. And speaking of oil and dealing with the apocalypse, we are here on March 24th, 2020. In the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, and oil markets have plunged. So maybe we need a new analogy, Andy.
Could be. Could be, Frank. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Kids are home. They haven't announced it in Maryland whether or not there'll be school will be canceled for the whole year, but it's looking that way. I
Yeah,
mean, they've
they
already
made
done
that
it.
announcement. The governor made that announcement, I think, yesterday in Virginia.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I'm not surprised. It's they've also closed all non-essential businesses here in Maryland, and so it's
yep,
a lot of high
same here.
nerves, huh?
Same here. But what were you saying there at the end?
Oh, there's a lot of nerves. People's nerves are on edge. You could tell.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can see it on social media with the interactions. Um, this is a stressful time, and one of the things that to keep in mind, I would say, is that stress has been shown to weaken your immune system. Not that our immune systems do a spectacular job against COVID-19, but I would, every little bit helps. And so I've seen some really, I'll say it was really great advice, but it's good advice for somebody like me who can watch some of this stuff and get kind of wrapped around the axle, engaged in commentary and the like. It's just, you've got control over some stuff. Even though you don't have control over other stuff, you've got control over whether you type in, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Um, you've got control over your attitude. You've got control over how much news you consume as well. And it was really reassuring. It sounds obvious, but when I saw a little graphic that a local radio station had put out, I thought, you're right. I can limit this. And I'd say, since I read that and started practicing it, my blood pressure's gone down.
Well, that's good. That's good. No, I think it's important for folks to realize that social media. I think people don't tend not to have a filter there,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people who just 6 weeks ago were constitutional lawyers and scholars. Now they're epidemiologists. So,
So true. So true.
yeah, I think taking things with a grain of salt definitely helps. But I don't want to add to the din of people talking about coronavirus. Um,
Yeah.
Kim Schmidt and I did a 45-minute LinkedIn Live, which was
Awesome.
an experiment for, I think you saw it, and we'll link it in the show notes below.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had a good talk about how with this pandemic we're going to have scores and scores of data that um, we can get a real handle on how, if not how to handle this pandemic, but future ones as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think it's interesting to see, kind of how technology is changing the game in terms of how we deal with pandemics and all that sort of stuff. But I did promise we wouldn't dwell on the pandemic. There is one thing I do want to add. I kind of had this idea because speaking of Twitter, I had seen a lot of folks in the technology field getting laid off,
Yes.
and that is just a tragedy that's going to compound this.
Yeah.
So I had this idea that we want to do another virtual summit.
Woohoo.
Uh, Maybe not call it Data Soup. I don't know what we're going to call it yet. This literally was an idea I had this morning, and I'm trying to execute as quickly as possible. Is that if you have been laid off or know someone who's been laid off and they want to present at this um, virtual summit, have them get in touch with us, and we can have it. I don't know if I'm going to charge for this yet. I think it's probably better not to, just
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
sake of exposure.
Sure.
Uh, Also, when you charge for the summit, there's other back end kind of stuff you have to lock down
Right.
that I don't feel like dealing with that. I want
Can't say
to.
I blame you, Frank.
Um, but I was thinking that if and it doesn't have to be just about data, right?
Right.
If there was somebody I saw on Twitter who was laid off and they're like a Docker Kubernetes kind of expert type,
Sure.
it would be cool to have kind of just a generic, you know, virtual summit with folks, and if they're first time speakers, that's cool. Um,
Hmm.
and maybe even connect with some folks in the existing tech community to maybe I know there's already stuff online like how to be a better speaker and stuff like that, and it would be a good
Sure.
resource for folks to do while they pass the time during this, unemployment situation.
Well, there's a
Um,
lot to love about this idea, Frank. I mean, exactly what you just said. That's a great point. I've been laid off. You've been laid off, and one of the first things that hits you is this, a whole list of nothing to do. What do
right.
you do with your time now? And that that can lead right to depression. So, getting busy on a project, regardless of how large or small, is a fantastic idea. The second thing is this can actually help solve that issue. We're going to be doing advertising about it. You and I are not slouches when it comes to followers on LinkedIn, uh, Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. We've got literally thousands of people combined, tens of thousands of followers, and we're going to be advertising this. So your name will be in front of, uh, you know, people who are searching for folks. So
Absolutely.
we
And
we know that. So yeah, lots of good
well,
ideas.
yeah, and it also takes me back to right after 9/11.
Hmm.
After when I was laid off. I mean, it was just you dealing with a lot kind of going on at in your life and the world, and there's nowhere to really showcase your talents, and you start getting to the point where you start doubting yourself,
Right, right,
and that leads into depression as well. So,
sure.
um, you know, I don't want to be one of those people that just kvetches on social media. I'm in a position, thanks to thereby the grace of God and all that this time around.
Yeah,
um, I want to be a light in the darkness, and I know that sounds corny, but if I can just help one person ease this time on them, on their mental kind of energy and getting their name out there, I think it's worth it. So
totally agree, Frank. I love the idea. Um, I'm excited about it. Looking forward to helping out. And
cool.
yeah, we'll get the show out for sure. But you'll also see calls for speakers. And if you don't hear this first, you'll see it online, and there'll be references back to this show. So I'm Frank. I'm going to borrow a Microsoftism and say I'm super excited.
Me too. I am also super excited about this, and I think it's an important step in the right direction. It's not gonna cure the pandemic, but I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of. I mean, I've been seeing talented people getting laid off, and it's just
yeah,
disturbing. So, if nothing else, and I think this is what I like to call a twofer. Um, is that not only will it help people who have been laid off, but I think it'll also help other people, who are struggling to get another job, to help them reskill.
absolutely.
And while they're down for this, so at some point you're going to be tired of Netflix binging and stuff like that. There's only but so many seasons of The Expanse. uh
That's true. Although
and
they've shot season 5.
actually, yeah, so all the live stuff has been done, so the thinking is that this might be the first and possibly the only big show to be ready by either late summer or early fall.
Yep.
Which will be interesting to see how that works out.
Hmm.
But so enough of that. You'll see something about that. Where I'm still trying to work out the logistics of call for speakers and stuff like that. And but you will see something. You'll see this, and we'll get to work out the logistics. I literally had the idea this morning after kind of being on Twitter. So that's a good example of being on Twitter and seeing
Hmm.
trying to do something about it. So something good can come out of Twitter.
There's a lot of folks doing it. I've been inspired by some of the stuff I've read on Twitter. The stories of people giving back, helping out, being very creative. I loved the videos on YouTube of people in Italy coming out onto their balconies and singing with each other.
Yes.
That that's pretty powerful. Um, there's just a there's a lot going on in some of these places. And people are really applying themselves and trying to make the best out of it. So I know we said we weren't going to talk about the pandemic. I don't think we're going to be able to hold to that, Frank.
No, no. Here we
I don't
are, like
think
10 minutes later, still talking
yeah,
about the pandemic.
just
Basically, here's the thing: if you're a speaker, if you've been laid off, we want you to speak. It could be on anything. It's Andy.Leonard at ENTDNA or Enterprise DNA, ENTDNA.com. And, or you go to the data driven website, we have a contact form, which hopefully works. Right, Andy? Uh, anyway, we shouldn't be too hard to get a hold of. So the short of it is that if you are gainfully employed and you would like to speak, that's fine. We'd love to have you too, because there's kind of two target audiences I want to help right now. I remember what it was like trying to find a job post 9/11. It was terrible, especially in the financial industry, which is where I work too. After the Enron thing happened shortly thereafter, so basically the plan is that if you're looking for work, you can speak and you're comfortable speaking, go ahead, get your name out there, practice public speaking. You can do it in your comfort of your house and do it pre-recorded. Alternatively, if you are a technologist and you're hiring, or let us know. We'd definitely like to have a little kind of community thing going on here. The other thing is, if you want to provide career coaching, career advice, that sort of thing, that's fine too. But the main reason why the event is free is mostly, it would always be free for speakers, but is because people who are laid off, who are in the service industry, I want them to use this time that they have been forcibly kind of away from work to improve their skills, learn to code, as they say, or just find something that they're passionate about. So I don't want this to be just about coding. I don't want this to be just a data type thing. There's a lot of interesting people out there that have been laid off through no fault of their own, and this is an opportunity for them to get their name out there and stuff like that. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. It's just an idea. It's experimental. I'm trying to execute quickly here. Speed is the new big. That's something that an author, Andy and I really like, Grant Cardone, talks about. Basically got the website up, working on getting the back end set up. It should be ready. Just put your name in the list or just follow the instructions. I created a Facebook page for it, Lemons to Learning. And hopefully there's some people who have said they would be interested in speaking who are not laid off, but they are pretty influential in the community. So crossing my fingers on that one. And with that, I hope you have a great day. I hope you stay safe. And we'll get through this. We really will. I know it's hard to see that now, but this too shall pass. And I have to get a fidget spinner before there's any trouble here on the playground. Have a great day. Stay safe.